This is Pondering Pixar, completing the shelf's review of the top 10 Pixar movies. And now, your hosts, Alex and Chris.
Welcome back to Completing the Shelf. This week, we are doing The Incredibles. We're breaking it down. We're looking at it. This is an incredible movie from 2004. I was in high school.
So was
That's when I started dating my wife.
No, I didn't know my wife existed back then.
I see, yeah. But, man, with the upcoming sequel, all these years later, Incredibles 2, we thought we would get together and start our run on Pixar movies with The Incredibles.
I like it.
How you doing, Alex?
No, I'm doing well. Feeling good, feeling great. Feeling great, feeling good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Summer break is upon me. You know, I was able to watch The Incredibles. Actually, right before I went and saw Han Solo. So,
Oh, there you go.
man, it's a good time. It's a good time.
Very good time. Yes. Yeah, 2004. I would say, I mean, I wouldn't call it phase one. Would you even consider it like the phase two of Pixar Animation Studios' film dominance?
Interesting. I never thought of Pixar as having phases, but yeah, sure. They're definitely experimenting a lot more now.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe, yeah. I guess there's been 4 phases. I would say 5 in each, and then we're currently wrapping up the 4th phase with the sequel that's coming out soon. As we're recording this on June 8th, 2018, which in the histories of time will be unfortunately remembered as the day we found out that a great entertainer and man of culture and knowledge, Mr. Anthony Bourdain, took his own life. Very sad to hear that, but we certainly can't let this day be forgotten, and certainly can't let one of those things like mental health be forgotten. But I feel like this movie doesn't quite get to that level of keeping your mental health in check, but it's certainly a good story in regards to family health.
And regarding family, it's also my sister-in-law Amber's birthday today.
Hooray!
So we do have some positive to outweigh any unfortunate news.
Right. Happy birthday, Amber.
That's right. Now, being a stay-at-home mom, her mental health is probably in question right now.
Well,
But,
with a 1-year-old and her husband being the same age, potentially, maybe more often the husband more than the child, but hey, you never know. We love Brian. Brian's a good guy.
Yeah. Well, let's dive into the plot here.
Yeah. Go right
This
on.
is a really fun movie. It opens up with this kind of interview process where we're interviewing all these superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get a bunch of news footage about the supers. And it's really just building the world and how the supers were once a thing in society. But then once Mr. Incredible saved a man from committing suicide,
Yeah.
the man sues Mr. Incredible, which the government has to, foot the bill. And this produces a lot of problems between the people and supers and legal and costs and stuff.
Spiral.
It is. And so the supers are put into witness protection, basically.
His like hero protection.
Hero protection, yes.
I would think about
And
that.
so then we get into this really interesting part of the movie where our hero, Bob Parr, Mr. Incredible, is married with Elastigirl.
Mm-hmm.
And what's her name again?
Oh, her real life name is Helen Parr.
Helen Parr. That's right. I just watched the movie.
Well, if she married a Bob Parr, she would become a Parr herself, and her first name is Helen.
That's on par. So then they have they have 2 kids, and Bob is just living this normal, boring, ordinary life. Insurance salesman. His boss is a short man that ridicules him. It's just you go through his daily routine and you just feel him being crushed because he's not living out his potential. He's not being who he is.
Side note, I love Bob Parr's boss, who is played by who else but the late great Wallace Shawn, which quite frankly is inconceivable.
Yes, he plays Rex in Toy Story and the Grand Nagus in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And the Grand Nagus is a Ferengi. A fat Ferengi.
They're all fat. Whatever.
Yeah, it's a really annoying character. So back to the movie. Bob eventually loses it. He throws his boss through a wall because Bob was trying to help a customer, and the boss was like, "Well, you're not helping the company. We're losing money." Bob's been sneaking around at night with his buddy Frozone, trying to save the day.
Samuel L. Jackson.
That's right. And oh man,
Sam Jackson.
What a great inclusion in the film. A lot of funny moments with Samuel L. Jackson's character Frozone. Eventually, Bob and Frozone are being watched by we don't know who, a white-haired woman, and she sneaks into his office and puts a package in his desk. He finds it at home after he's fired, and it has this like secret mission recording on a little tablet, and it's everything he wants. So he can feel like he has a purpose again and live as a superhero. It takes him off to an island. He battles a giant robot. And then a couple of months, he's just living this dual life as a superhero working for this white-haired woman. Her name is Mirage. And eventually, Helen starts thinking that he's cheating on her.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
Meantime, he's working out. He's never been more vital. Him and his wife are having relations, and he's just a different person. And then he gets an invite to come back to this island, which the name of the island is No Man is an Island, just all phonetically squished together, which is a nice John Donne reference. I like that quote. He gets to the island, fights another version of the robot. It pretty much beats him.
Yeah.
And it's revealed that the bad guy on this island that's been funding this whole thing is Buddy, Incrediboy, or now known as Syndrome. Can you tell me about Syndrome? What's his connection with Mr. Incredible?
You see, back many, many moons ago, Syndrome was a fan of one Mr. Incredible. Sadly, the opportunity to meet his hero and his idol went awry, and so he was rejected as a sidekick many, many moons ago by Mr. Incredible, and now, adopting the name Syndrome, he has been perfecting what is that Omnidroid that nearly kills Mr. Incredible, hiring different heroes to fight against it, adding new tricks and features and such to, make it unstoppable.
Yeah, it's a really smart AI that's learning from whoever it fights. Helen thinks she's being, cheated on, so she takes a jet to find Mr. Incredible.
Edna Mode.
Edna helps her do so because Edna has made a new super suit for the whole family, including Bob, and there's a tracking device in it. So Helen goes tracking him, and the kids stow away on the plane, except for little baby Jack's back home with a babysitter, and because he doesn't have powers, apparently. They get to the island, and in the airspace of the island, the plane is shot out of the sky. Mr. Incredible thinks that Syndrome murdered his family. He's about to snap the neck of Mirage, but he just can't get himself to do that. And Syndrome calls his bluff and says, "I knew you couldn't do it," and just leaves him there. The kids and the mom crash land safely in the ocean, make it on the island, and are sneaking around. And then Mirage lets out Bob from the prison because, her boss gambled her life. And it went in her favor, of course, but it could have not gone well. Helen and the family, they all meet up. They fight Syndrome's robots and their men and stuff, but Syndrome launches the Omnidroid to the city anyway because what he wants is no superheroes around and him create a problem that only he can solve. And so he sends a robot through the city. It's going destruction, blah, blah, blah. He fights it, and it outsmarts him. He lost control. So it's up to the Incredible family to come and take it out, and they do. And then Syndrome runs to their house and gets their baby, Jack.
Yes.
And steals him, planning to train him to become his sidekick.
Ooh.
Little does he know, Jack has crazy monster powers.
Oh my gosh.
They eventually get the baby back, and the neighborhood kid on a tricycle is wowed and says, "That was awesome!" The end.
Ta-da! The Incredibles.
4 hours later.
Not really, no, but it felt it's certainly shorter than the last thing we were told about.
Yes. Let's talk about what we like. So, what I love this time around was the parent stuff. I have a kid, and when Helen is feeding Jack at the table early in the movie, and she's mouthing with the baby, Danielle and I do that. And I can't not do that. It's just this automatic. We're eating with the child, and I thought that was really funny. That stuck out. Another thing, this is a superhero movie before superhero movies really became a thing, before Marvel got on the stage, right? Before this, we had X-Men and Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
But this is 4 years before Iron Man.
Right.
So this is cool that we have this kind of a exploration of the superhero genre mashed up with a noir kind of spy genre. What'd you think of that?
I think it was calling it what it is kind of self-serving. But I think it was smart. Because up to this point, when you look back at the previous work of the studio, they had already put out a sequel. They had just wrapped up on another very much family-style movie in Finding Nemo. But this brought it back to a much more human story because toys, bugs, monsters, fish. All right, let's talk about humans now.
Yeah, superhumans though. Yeah.
Yes, albeit superhumans, but they have seemingly normal, traditional human, I wouldn't say just basic human issues, but you see that there is a more human side to most heroes, and that was a nice, refreshing thing that it allowed Pixar to do in their own unique way. So that was a lot of fun.
That is 100% true. I'm glad you said that because when I'm watching this film, it's not about superheroes.
Nope.
It's about middle age. It's about being trapped in the daily grind. It's about not living up to your full potential or what you believe is your full potential and just kind of wasting away. I mean, these are some really important issues that little kids aren't going to get really when they're watching it, but their parents do.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why Pixar is enduring, because they always tackle their stories work on multiple levels, and this level of adulthood and the grind and feeling kind of almost existential, why am I here kind of questions. Man, this movie is...
It's all good. It's really, really nice. I like it, and they make... And I feel like there was a part of us that lived vicariously through Dash, being just wanting to be super fast, wanting to run as fast as I can to help save my friends and family. I feel like we got to vicariously live that out through the character Dash. That was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's the kid that takes hold of life and just is awesome and full of energy. Everything's great. Everything's awesome. I mean, that's childhood,
Yeah.
Just everything's great.
Mm-hmm.
But I really love the powers.
Yeah.
They're really fun. Helen, especially her bending and elasticity. Elasticity. Yeah.
The SAT word of the day is the word elasticity. EALASTICITY. Elasticity is a noun defined as the ability of an object or material to resume its normal shape after being stretched or compressed. Stretchiness.
The only issue I have with her power is when she can transform into a life raft.
I think that's
it's
helpful.
not like she stretches there. It's just like she literally is a shapeshifter in that moment.
No, it's a bit of a stretch.
But yeah, it didn't pull me out of the film. I liked it.
Oh yeah, it's the power of storytelling being used to its full effect, or effect. Ooh,
Effect with an E. That's a noun.
Okay, good.
Affect is a verb.
Favorite one-liner. Go.
Gosh. I don't know. I didn't memorize lines in this movie. Well, where is my super suit?
That's
I guess that
probably
one.
the big one, yes.
Yeah, it is the big one. Low hanging fruit there.
That well, yeah, that's a good one. Again, Dash in his youthfulness. We're dead. We're survived, but we're dead.
Oh, I know. At dinner, when Helen is like, Dash, you have to tell your father about being taken to the principal's office, and Bob is just like, how fast were you going? They didn't even see you. They didn't even see you on camera. That's awesome. I love the reaction that Dad. It's like finally something exciting and interesting in his life, and he just gets all excited and then cuts the plate. Yeah, it's a straightforward story, but it again, because it's so relatable on a human level, it's just a great movie, and I really enjoyed rewatching it. I haven't seen it in probably a decade, so good movie.
It was a very good movie. Shall we place it on a shelf?
Let's do that. I put this on a second shelf.
Okay.
I can't find a fault with it, much like Solo, but the fact that I haven't watched it in a decade and I didn't really want to, like I wasn't driven to watch it. I don't rewatch it often. You know, it's a great movie. I can't find a fault with it. It's inventive. It is personal. Beautiful animation, but you know, it just doesn't impact me at the way that a top shelf film like kind of becomes part of your identity.
Right.
So, what say you, sir?
We're running back-to-back episodes of keeping things on the same shelf. This is definitely a second shelf film in my book as well. Very much rewatchable, but not to the point where it is life-changing, or it is a film that is over the top with how revolutionary it was. It was just very, very good. And something that I would want to put on again if given the choice.
Yeah, you definitely want it on your shelf. Pull it out for the kids, you know, and whatever, or, you know, here and there. I'm glad we're doing this Pixar project because it's going to let me rewatch some films, although I haven't seen every single Pixar film. I haven't seen Ratatouille, although it's not on the top 10. You want to know why I haven't seen Ratatouille?
Why?
Because I've had students say I look like the main character. As an insult.
I don't know.
So,
no, I don't think they meant it as an insult, sir. I think they were providing... Never mind. See, this is the weird dividing line. Because officially, when we provide you with the top 10 that we'll be talking about, we're basing it off of the aggregate score from the wonderful, resourceful webpage known as Rotten Tomatoes. And if you look at WALL-E, Monsters, Inc., and Ratatouille, they all kind of scored around the same. So maybe that should be our poll question for the day. Pick two: WALL-E, Ratatouille, or Monsters, Inc. and we'll do episodes about 2 out of those 3 movies. And then we'll talk about maybe a best of the rest type for the Pixar films that also have been released that didn't quite make a top 10. As mentioned, there'll be 20 films up to this point, not including Incredibles 2. So we're not going to make you sit through another dozen plus episodes of us rambling about movies.
4 months of discussions.
I mean, we could.
It'll be close though.
It could be. No, we're not going to do that.
According to Rotten Tomatoes, The Incredibles is at a 97% fresh.
Oh.
And it falls number 7 on our top 10 list.
Here you go.
So you can see where that falls in the Pixar top 10, according to Rotten Tomatoes. Now, it's really hard. The top 10 range from 100% to 96%.
That's a 4% threshold. So we're talking about fairly fantastic films that when you historically look at them, and the rest of the films that were nominated by the Academy Awards for Best Animated Picture of the Year, you know why even the films that didn't make the top 10 seem to win once they see the words Disney and Pixar. So
yeah, and like Monsters Inc. is in the top 10, but I'd prefer Monsters University to that.
Oh, well, those are things that we can discuss in the future.
That we can, yes. I look forward to it. Well, let's wrap this up. We're getting back on the shelf.
You can find more information about the Completing the Shelf channel on our Facebook page. Simply search Completing the Shelf in your search bar on Facebook for more information and join us there for more discussions about not-so things that we can talk about, like our top 10 books or our top 10 movies or other things that may not pertain to us talking to you out loud. You can also leave us feedback about our episodes in the comment section below. Please subscribe for more information and more great episodes from Chris and I, Spock and Solo, here on the Completing the Shelf channel.
We'll see you back on the shelf.
Why did I start with the Star Trek theme? Probably because we talked about Ferengis. Got me thinking about those ugly buzzards. Anywho.
They are very ugly. God. But Star Trek teaches you to look past all of that and get to know a person for the content of their character.
Oh, gosh. All right, Dr. King.
You know, Nichelle Nichols, Uhura, wanted to quit. And Dr. King literally called her up and said, "You come meet me." And he said, "You can't quit Star Trek. You're the vision of what we could be, equals as an officer on the bridge of a starship, equals with every other race." So yeah, it is a Dr. King thing. He was all about Star Trek. King's a Trekkie.
Is there any? Whatever. Fine.
Is there any way that I can not talk about Star Trek per episode?
Prove legitimately that Dr. King has been on record saying, I enjoy Star Trek and Mr. Spock is my homeboy. I'm pretty sure those words never came out of his mouth.